episode, I'm going to try to start up YouTube one last time. Bam. It has worked. Have I got the notification on my phone? Yes, I have. There we go. We're on YouTube. Welcome, YouTube. Hello, I'm First Alert Meteorologist Evan Thomason. We got the whole gang in now. We got the whole fam here, so to speak. KSLA News 12, First Alert with a breakdown. Again, I'm Meteorologist Evan Thomason. I do the morning shows, but I'm also the host of KSLA News 12, First Alert Weather Breakdowns. Yes, a little cooler this morning, but man, it's just about the same afternoon for today. I'm already getting a little toasty inside, I guess, so to speak. But I'm still reaching into those upper 70s here for the most part here today across the Arklatex. But for those of you who've been looking forward to those fall-like conditions, oh, this is a forecast for you. This is a forecast for you. You remember those cold fronts that we kept saying these throughout the entire month of November? We've kept saying, oh, well, you know, it seems like we continue to have round and round of cold front. Round and round it goes, down around the carousel, so to speak. But we haven't had an actual big cool down with every single cold front. It seems like we've quickly cooled down, and then we've rapidly warmed back up into the temperatures in the upper 70s and lower 80s. And that's in store again here for today, and more so for tomorrow. We could have some widespread lower 80s back in the Arklatex here for tomorrow across the Arklatex. Yeah. But we have two cold fronts we're watching out for in our 12-day forecast. The second one is much more impressive than the first one. The first one happens tomorrow. It's a cold front nevertheless, and we'll take it. But those of you looking forward to fall-like weather, I think you're going to like what our second cold front's doing to our temperatures here for next work week. It's an attempt at a wink there. Anyways, all right, let's get to the rundown here today. So we're talking, that is not the rundown. It is this. This is the rundown. I was about to go grab my coffee, but it's in the other room. I'll go grab it during a commercial break. Anyways, so we're looking at sunshine here for your local forecast, at least here for today. Do have a cold front that could give us a smidge chance of some rain here tomorrow, but honestly, overall, next 5 days or so, you're looking at a pretty lengthy break of nothing but sunshine. Temperatures, though, are going to change. I will tell you that. And we'll start looking at rain at this tail end of the 7-day forecast, heading into the 12-day forecast. We'll get to that in the local forecast here coming up right after we talk about what our exclusive content is for today. This is something I haven't done in a while. We're going to do a science explainer here for today for the First Alert Weather Breakdown podcast. I want to do a science explainer because, first of all, we just haven't done one in a while, and I think they're cool. It gives us a cool aspect to reach out to those in the news community, and I also realize and embrace as well that we are kind of like the only science people in this newsroom. We'll get to that in just a second, but yeah, we're talking about how does lightning work. We're going to go to the science and the nitty-gritty about how does lightning form. How does it exist? How does it work exactly? What's the thing that makes lightning form in itself? We'll go over some kind of cool statistics. It's pretty powerful force. Not gonna lie, especially when it makes all that thunder, especially miles and miles away, makes all that sound. It's very impressive, very very impressive at times. So we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of science about that. But yeah, just to back off my point about that again. I like to consider myself and all the meteorologists here at the KSLA News 12 First Alert Weather Team. We're kind of the only scientists in the newsroom. This is a whole department usually of English majors and people that love to write and read. Nothing wrong about that, obviously, but we like to put our little science brains to use occasionally and go beyond just your typical forecast. That's what we do here, KSLA News 12 First Alert Weather Breakdown. So. All right, we're going to go into that here later on today. But first, the forecast. Let's get back into it. All righty. If I could access my graphics again. There we go. Bam. All right, so this is a live look IR satellite. This gives you kind of a better look at the cloud tops and how tall cloud tops are across the Arklatex. So In right now, we're mainly looking at pretty clear conditions right now across the Arctic. Again, a beautiful blue sky day. That's all protected under high pressure system, which is pretty much driving out any bits of moisture from the central part of the United States. But there you can see the cold front off to our west. Low pressure system and cold front that's racing in here from the west. That's going to hit us tomorrow. Now, if you don't see any rain tomorrow, which most of us aren't, actually, don't really get your hopes up high about the system rain-wise. But it's going to cool us down a good bit. We'll get to the temperature aspect in just a moment. But here's a look at our future track. All right, in for the rest of today, nothing but sunshine. Cloud cover builds here heading into the early morning hours of tomorrow, and this is pretty much our prime rain time. If it's going to rain, it's going to rain tomorrow morning, not tomorrow afternoon. We'll get to that part of the future track in just a moment. But look at that little line of rain showers that could potentially form a little bit to the east side of Natchitoches. There's other models that hint that some of those cells could instead be right on top of Natchitoches, maybe even as far west as Shreveport, although it's unlikely at this time. So I think we'll get a little good amount of cloud cover here for tomorrow. But most of us should stay rain-free. If you see that whole line of rain just staying directly off to our east and south, this is mainly going to be a rainmaker for central and northeast Louisiana here for tomorrow around Monroe and down towards Alexandria. Not as much for the Arklatex. And then heading on to your Thursday, a lot better. Sunshine's back and dry conditions follow all the way into Saturday at least. So, yeah, if you don't get any rain from tomorrow, which, again, most of us won't, you're not looking at rain until at least Sunday. So kind of a nice dry stretch period across the Arklatex. Over those next 5 days, where it's going to be mostly dry, highs in the upper 70s, lower 80s here for the next 2 days. And then you have the cold down. Everybody, again, is getting the cool down part of the cold front. Thursday and Friday, highs only in the upper 60s and lower 70s. It's going to feel nice. Lows also down into the 40s, just so you know, too. All right, then we have two main stories building long term. Before we get to the local story that's affecting us here locally next week, and I will get to that as soon as we get into the 7-day forecast, let's first of all talk about the big story developing nationally, and that's in the tropics with this area of interest. It is November the 12th. We're still in tropical season. Yeah, we're in the tail end of tropical season for a reason, because this usually never happens. I mean, we went on saying last week about Raphael. Raphael, by the way, was only the second, it was it second? No, fourth hurricane in all of history in the Gulf of Mexico. Pretty impressive. Well, guess what? We can add another to that total within a single year. And again, that's all in history, and it just, history goes back to like 1900. It's a vast, expansive history list that we have here for the tropics. All right. Excuse me, I'm getting the hiccups. All right, anyways, area of interest. It is an 80% chance of forming around the western edge of the Caribbean Sea. Now, what I will say about the Gulf of Mexico is it's completely dead. What do I mean by completely dead? Well, the Gulf of Mexico is not looking great to form anything, period. And if something does form there, and if something goes there, like what we saw with Raphael, it is going to die. It's got way too cool of waters now for this to form anything tropical, number one. And number two, and most importantly, we've had these consistent cold fronts roll on by, and that has effectively killed off all these tropical systems. Now, since the system, again, like Raphael, is looking to form the western edge of the Caribbean, it looks like it's going to sustain itself there for a number of reasons. First of all, if it does form, which is likely to form, it's going to form most likely either Friday or this weekend. So still plenty of time to see if this exactly, forms, but it's expected to meander. And what I mean by meander is stand still in the western edge of the Caribbean Sea, which is going to give it more time to form under favorable waters. The Caribbean Sea is basically the hot tub of Mexico right now. It is hot there, and it is inducive of forming all these tropical systems still. Now, what's expected to happen to it, well, it could become, first of all, another major hurricane, like Raphael did briefly as a Cat 3. And number two, we could drag the storm northward, but to the point of where it only barely scrapes the Gulf of Mexico and curls around and maybe hits Florida. Yeah. That could happen in the middle to late part of next week. Now, granted, the middle to late part of next week is still way long away. So guess what? We're going to keep you first alert about this every single day. But this is so shocking to me when I walked in the door here this morning. But everything's on the cards still and on the table for this system to legitimately form and sustain itself and ramp itself up to that major hurricane status. So, yeah, best of luck to Florida. Just be on the lookout, even for November. Wild. Anyways, let's get to the 7-day forecast. So that was the main story here for that, and it is just absolutely bonkers, again, for late November. By the time this forms and goes anywhere, it'll be late November. 80 degrees here for tomorrow. A high of 77 here today. Again, 20% chance of rain showers. Again, that just means most of us aren't going to see rain tomorrow. It's a lot less than a 50-50 call. Highs down to 71 again for Thursday and Friday. Highs up to 77 by Sunday. And then, if you notice, we do have some rain chances increasing. Well, we have some straight showers that could come in Monday of next week. But remember that big cold front that we talked about yesterday that's going to hit us, cold front number 2, that's actually looking to give us a good amount of rain? It looks like that's been pushed back a day. That's going to happen if we look at the 12-day forecast. It looks like that's going to happen somewhere around Tuesday and Wednesday of next work week. The more shocking thing to me is, first of all, this could contain severe weather. We'll see and keep you first alert about that. But that's over a week away. It's unable to determine that far out if severe weather or not. But what is looking more likely is look at the high temperatures following that cold front. 50s, 5-0. We legitimately also could have our first freezes of the year during that time, heading into late November as well, with lows potentially in the 30s. Yeah. Wow. Crazy. All right, so yeah, that's the two big weather stories long term, and I'm going to be honest, I'm getting psyched up about it. It might have just been me drinking too much coffee this morning, or still, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, let's look at your local forecast. If you have any questions, always YouTube is the way to do so I can answer them live on this podcast. Pretty cool. Anyways, we're going to get to our exclusive content. We're going to talk about lightning. I'll put on my science cap, and I will see you after 2 minutes, and we'll talk about lightning and how it works and how it forms and the different kinds of lightning. There's a lot to go over. I'll see you after the break. All right, welcome back. KSLA News 12, first alert, weather breakdown. Again, I'm meteorologist Evan Thomas. We're a little behind schedule for what we normally do, how this usually flows. We usually try to end this by 11 o'clock. We don't want you hanging around here all day. You need to get out and enjoy the atmosphere. Unless you're bringing me on your phone and you're already outside. That's, hey, That's pretty cool. Not going to lie about that. But anyways, let's talk about our exclusive content for today. And we're explaining how lightning forms and, again, also the different kinds of lightning as well. I know most of you can probably think of the common lightning types, which are cloud to ground, which is the typical lightning that you see in a thunderstorm, and also heat lightning, which is very typical around here, especially during, obviously, summertime, hottest time of the year. You get the gist. All right, here's how it works. We're going to take this step by step, shall we? So, first thing is lightning is based on charges. That's how it's formed. You form a current. A lightning is nothing but a current in the sky that flashes. It's electricity. I think that's self-explanatory. And that's all formed between charges. Charges or opposite charges attract. And for those of you who remember, it's kind of a middle school science thing. You know, positive and negative charges found. Now, in the atmosphere, we have lots of negative charges in the atmosphere, and usually the ground is positively charged. Anyways, electrons begin zigzagging downward, known as a stepped leader. So again, the lightning is formed between the connection between electrons and protons, which are usually attracted to each other. Usually you'll get a lot of this energy and lots of different charges in the thunderstorm itself. So let's go to the second step. As the leader nears the ground, it draws a positive charge upward. Again, opposites attract, so eventually you'll get charges attracting and moving closer together until they effectively strike. When they merge, powerful electric current flows. And guess what? That little flow can travel at a quick 60,000 miles per second. Pretty rapid. That connection between positive charges and negative charges in the atmosphere. And obviously this process can repeat several times. It can also flicker around with those charges trying to stick together. And obviously all this happens, again, in an instance because it happens at 60,000 miles per hour. So the last thing I want to get to in with this is the different kinds. So the one right behind my head is cloud to ground, which is uncommon because it's usually a positive charge. It's usually opposite charge. There's usually an opposite charge actually between the top of the cloud and the bottom of the cloud. That's kind of weird, but yeah, that's essentially how that happens. If you go into cloud to cloud, that's known as heat lightning. Excuse me. That's mentioned by the graphic there. It's called intracloud, which is very common because, again, as I said, the top of the cloud actually has different charges than the bottom half of the cloud, which is very interesting, again, to think about and the gist of things. But most of the energy and most of the bottom of the cloud is very, I believe it's negatively charged. Yeah. Ground is positively charged. Anyways, so yeah, ground to cloud is actually very rare. That's one of the things I want to mention. Actually, I'm going to take this graphic full so I'm not blocking it at any point. Cloud to ground, excuse me, is very common in the atmosphere actually because it's usually the negative charges, or excuse me, the positive charges moving to the negative charges. The positively charged ground moves to the negatively charged atmosphere, which is very intriguing, I will say. And obviously, that's how lightning forms. There's also cloud to cloud, different kinds of clouds. It's a little uncommon, but that can happen. And also cloud to sky, which happens occasionally with different charges there. Yeah, that is lightning in a nutshell. I know we went over this quickly, but I'm trying to go over this quickly to get on, I won't say get on by, but also end this by 11 o'clock, our typical ending time. But if you have any questions, again, youtube.com. That's how we answer your questions, so to speak. But hope you learned something. But in essence, it's all between the different kinds of charges. Negative charge, positive charge. Bam. Essentially how it works. And again, the statistics behind it, and the actual the speed at which it travels, again, 60,000 miles per second. Incredible. The amount of volts it produces, I think, is way off the charts as well. And lastly, you know how cloud to ground lightning is a lot more common because it'll stretch down into the ground. You actually see it. I know it happens at a rare pace, but it technically starts in the cloud. The spark does, and then it moves southward very quickly, very incredibly quickly. It's ridiculous. Yeah. All right, so that's our look at our lightning explainer here for the day today. Again, hope you learned something. I hope you did. I hope I did everything correctly. I believe I explained everything correctly. I know I put on my science cap. It's been a while, honestly, since I've done a science explainer. I'm gonna be honest. So I myself needed a little refresher. Not gonna lie about that. Again, any questions, any comments, let me know. You can also send us an email, weatherbreakdown@ksla.com. We'll get into that. You can send us different topics coming up a little bit later. Also, actually, I'm going to save this for after the break. I'm going to save you this message for after the break. So, yeah, we're going to toss the break. We're going to recap this episode, and we'll see what we're talking with here for tomorrow. Yeah. All right. See you guys in just a minute. And welcome back to KSLA News 12 First Alert Weather Breakdown. Just wanted to pull this graphic up one last time. Just to show you the incredible power of. I don't think everybody's really considered how many different types of lightning there really are. Again, all of it has to do with the positively charged top of the cloud to the negatively charged bottom of the cloud to the positively charged ground. I know which is rare in rare circumstances because usually you'd think of the ground, and this is what I was actually thinking of during the last little segment. I was thinking of, well, the ground is usually negatively charged because usually, you know, when you charge up a car battery, for example, ground is always a negative charge when you charge a car battery, but it's mainly because of the energy in the atmosphere, especially with the ground, during thunderstorms. Kind of some of that rain brings that positively charged. So the rain starts with the positive charges at the top of the cloud and then falls all the way to the surface and kind of creates that positive charge at the surface of the Earth, essentially. So think of it that way if you need to think about it in a different way. But because I feel like I needed a different explanation for you guys as well. When I was thinking it back to myself, like how better can I explain this? Well, I think that's the best. I think that's the best sign. So yeah, positive cloud, positively charged top of the cloud where the rain originally condenses and then falls through the cloud entirely. brings those positive charges to the surface that are usually negatively charged on a sunny day, for example, and then creates that positive to negative discharge that basically sparks off the lightning. Pretty cool. I think I'm going to leave it at that. All right. One note before we recap and look forward to tomorrow. For those of you being like, where is CJ? It's Tuesday. Well, unbeknownst to me, and kind of went around this last minute here yesterday, and I realized this. Our weather schedule with who is working what day is bonkers this week, especially with CJ's week. In essence, CJ is actually off today. He is working an intriguing schedule this work week. He'll be back on to work tomorrow. So I hope he's on tomorrow's episode. So we're going to hope that his TikTok Tuesday is just, moved to one day. I will tell you this live on air as well. So I called like a 50-50 call if he's going to be on tomorrow. I know he is working tomorrow. I know that. But the question of whether or not will he have time to be able to come on here tomorrow? Because I know he's going to be busy with our holiday drive. KSLA News 12 is a holiday drive. Many locations you can drop off little food donations to tomorrow. We'll be doing that literally just about all day long tomorrow. You can find out details on KSLA.com. CJ will be a part of that. It may not have time for the podcast is what I'm saying. So I'm sorry if those of you were looking forward to CJ being on today. But anyways, he is off to make room for him to be back on tomorrow dealing with that food drive. So we'll figure out something else if he's not able to do TikTok Tuesday tomorrow. Yeah. So that'll be cool. Hope he can hang around for it. If not, you'll have to find out tomorrow's episode as a surprise. All right, anyways, you have a good rest of your day. Again, thanks for joining me on First Alert Weather Breakdown. If you want to send us a topic, please do so. I could always use more things to talk about. Send us an email, weatherbreakdown@ksla.com, or you can message any of us on Facebook. It includes myself. It could also include CJ, Austin, or Matt, whoever you want to talk to about this podcast and share a brilliant idea with. We air this every single weekday at 10:30. I'll be with you again tomorrow, hopefully with CJ. If not, I'll be honest, I'm going to figure it out on the fly. I have backup topics in my back pocket. Don't you worry. On a rainy day, so to speak. Gonna talk about the tropics again a little more in depth. That'll be an interesting scenario playing out next week, along with the coldest temperatures of the season. Two big headlines heading into next week. All right. So I'll join you again tomorrow, 10:30. Be there, be square, and be weather aware. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow at 10:30. Peace out.